Hello everyone. I think not everyone in this room has done the art project. This is why we'll start with a short introduction about what it's all about. So the art project we did here is about the disappearance of the island Nook, which is an artificial island, so it didn't really exist then. Nook was discovered in the 18th century, and that then was not accessed for 2 centuries. And in 1948, a Nordic nation made it its dependency. And there were several biologic and geologic expeditions, and in 1962, there was the last expedition to Nook, and they found out that half of the island disappeared. Yeah, there it was. Of course, these pictures are the very nice pictures Anna showed to us at one of the first days. In 2012, there was another expedition to the island, and there it was found out that the island had completely disappeared. So it was a very short-term impact that happened here. And this art project was about asking what are the singular points here. So. There might be the coincidence of many independent factors that individually wouldn't have caused any damage, but then the superposition, the random superposition of the different impacts might have caused the island to disappear. Okay, so our approach here was to physically recreate the event that maybe has led to the submersion of Nook, and to that end we had a very nice. We have had the following equipment. So we worked with different materials, with salt and sand, and it was about finding out how did the island disappear. And we had a high-speed camera, and we will show some of the videos. Of course, we cannot show all, but we have 4 videos we want to show to you. And yeah, we have some more pictures here. This is actually the video you just saw when you entered the room. Okay, we had some dye spray in order to create a little crust on the salt and these things in order to make it look more realistic. And the main question we want to address in this talk is not really a temporal evolution of the disappearance of Nook. We want to ask, how did our reaction to the problem and how did the difficulties we had reflect the relation between science, society, and changes in the world we're living in? So,
okay. So as Lotte said, the purpose of this talk is not to present the art. Instead, we felt it would be appropriate to consider how our pursuit of the project itself might help us to reflect. Day after day, we stood much like this, as a group contemplating different ways in which we might do damage to an artificial island. Taking a step back and squinting your eyes a little, is there a metaphor here for the way in which human society engages with and understands planet Earth? So do we see planet Earth as an experiment? Is it a toy? Is it a curiosity? Is it something that's understandable? Is it something that's manageable? Is it even something that's comprehensible?
So, as a group, we've tried hard to erase the island, but we've all failed to capture the moment of destruction. So we asked whether can this failure tell us anything about resilience in the Earth system and about the potential buffering mechanisms which encourage stability. If this is the case, can we hypothesize the nature of events that might have to conspire to destroy such an island? And whether this is a reflection of the number of methods we as a group imagine possible through many interacting components of the Earth system. And then if this is the case, how do we go about attribution of the cause?
So in trying to think about how this art project made us think about our science, we've got this pretty obvious link. Now, how hard it is to actually observe what we want to see. So this is one of our attempts at moving an island, and we have a balloon underneath a pile of sand, and we're popping the balloon because it's meant to be representing a caldera collapsing, and also because it's a lot of fun. But despite the fact that we had artificially defined the channel for the water to flow, it never did what we wanted it to do. Most of the time we either completely missed what was happening, or we got this part but we missed some massive event over here, got some blurriness up here. In general, we just had an idea but didn't really get a complete picture. And this sort of relates back to real observations. You can't measure everything on all spatial and temporal scales. You can get an idea, but there's always data missing. For example, the deep southern ocean, which is my passion. There's very little data out there. Also in things like under ice shelves, just as an example. And so you have to wonder, just because we're not observing it, is it not happening? And so this comes back to this island. It might be an imaginary island, maybe it's happening. You don't know. The second thing relating to this was misconceptions. And this goes back to what Michael was talking about. So we all tried really hard to make our pile of sand look like a mountain. So we have landslides coming down and all these amazing events. But, and you can almost convince yourself now that it might be an avalanche of some kind. But at the start you saw the cylinder and you saw the hands. If you hadn't seen that, would you have a different view of what was happening? And so it's this idea that without having the context of your observations, you can get a predefined view of what is happening, which is incorrect. And this just comes back to misconceptions and this idea of how we have to be careful about what we are actually seeing.
So, art is a lie that helps us. Art is a lie that helps us realize the truth, or at least the truth that we have to understand. This is what Pablo Picasso said. And I think this is similar to science. Science is a simplification that helps us plumb the complexity of the real world. And so I think that art and science have many connections. But the point that I want to make is that both art and truth, or science, are inherited. We inherit knowledge from people that have come before us. You all know that when you start your PhD, you go into a frenzy of reading papers that others have produced so you can get a handle on the topic and decide on your topic. And also in literature or in art, there have been debates going on for some time that say, well, we never really create anything completely new. We take from those that have come before us and we mash it together and we create something. So in art and science, we are standing on the shoulders of those who come before us. We inherit art and knowledge from them. And that's why I'm going to show you a series of videos which we've put together of what the different groups had to say to the groups that would come after them, what they did and what they thought those groups should do. And I want to make the point that we can also inherit burdens from those that come before us. In science, we can inherit a way of looking at a problem that doesn't help us. And as citizens, we can inherit structures that aren't beneficial to us. The best science says that a continuation of that curve as it is will be destructive for society as we know it. And who in this room wants to pass this on? But there are forces that drive it forward. The structure of our cities, which we inherit, that favor cars, and the structure of our economy and our politics that have a short-term view of risks and opportunities rather than a long-term view of risks and opportunities. So my question to you is, as a citizen and a scientist, what do you want to pass on? And with that, I'll show you some of these videos. Are you gonna play that one?
There are two main things that you have to think about.
We're trying to shake it at the end to pretend there was an earthquake.
And we tried to destroy it. Actually, we were very successful.
And here we see the false bravado of scientists. And I just wanted to say, and this next section is, I think it's great. It's almost like how an abstract reads in a journal paper. It's like, this is what we did. All right, this is our methodology.
It's kind of creating, exploding, go inside. So,
We're probably trying to get water to flow and prevent freeze.
we made the island collapse into the sea. We had a big avalanche that caused a water wave. The island was still there, so
We tried to recreate the metaphor and then destroy the metaphor.
And then this next section is what we recommended to other groups, and it's kind of like building theories, recommendations, the sort of things that we as scientists do in our daily life.
alright.
Make them speak.
Yeah.
Moisture helps it. They're interested.
The experiment was revealed, so maybe that we can step better.
We should build up that.
So yeah, we thought the next group could work on getting rid of the island completely.
Our group to do is very little remaining in rice sand. You're welcome. We hope you.
Yeah, we should say that we already made it disappear.
So thank you for listening. That's our presentation.